Welcome to the end of day review for Thursday, the 28th of March 2024. Starting off with the economic calendar, there was only USD read for the significant news events, and the most significant of which was sort of a warning, was the GDP numbers. As usually, these releases often result in large volatility. However, that didn't happen for today, but we'll unpack it as we go along. Essentially, at 2:30, so 30 minutes into the New York session, we had positive USD GDP, validating any potential short ideas for GU and EU and long ideas for USDCAD. However, at the same time for USDCAD, we also had positive GDP for CAD, so that somewhat cancelled each other out. However, having said that, let's move on to the charts for GBPUSD and then unpack what had happened. So from a daily perspective, again, we don't have 3 consecutive bullish or bearish candles, and thus that has no impact on our trading. From a 4H perspective, we understand that we recently changed character from a market structure perspective, thus putting us in an unconfirmed scenario where in order to take any trade idea, we need 4H OB backing, a substructure high or low to target, and lastly, internal range liquidity towards that intended target. For the purposes of GBPUSD, we're reacting to a pro-trend unconfirmed OB associated with the pro-trend unconfirmed leg, and then a primary OB associated with the pro-trend previously confirmed primary leg right here. So neither of these interactions to these OBs resulted in achieving their substructure target, and thus we have reasons to trade both long and shorts. Coming into the Frankfurt session, we had an Asia high of the day, and unfortunately we can't validate that without news or in an ERL situation, external range scenario, but we're in an unconfirmed scenario, so that didn't make much sense, and thus our only option was actually to trade short coming into the New York session on the basis that the Asia high of the day will hold and we have positive USD news. So from that perspective, I set this entry. However, as you can see, it failed, so that was one loss that I took, and that was perfectly per my trading plan, so I'm happy with that loss. And then there was a potential for a second short, because we had at 4 p.m. further positive USD news, further supporting shorting. However, at that point, we had this wick at 4 p.m. which created the New York high of the day, and then it was validated by New York news, which was great. However, we needed to validate the current day leg with the change of character OB being wicked, and this was that OB, which you can see was wicked here. However, the issue with this is it's subsequent to the end of the London New York cross, given that the the London session ends at 5 p.m. Although, since London's DST isn't yet active, it is possible that I may have marked this wrong. This March is a bit confusing because DST for New York comes into effect the second week of March, and then DST for London and Europe comes in at the end of March, the last Sunday of March, so I may have misinterpreted this. So the end of trading session would be at 6 p.m. and 30 minutes before would be 17:30, which is right there. So this trade may have actually been valid, although it's too late to take it now. It's already been interacted with, and it's also very close to the 30-minute mark for ending our trading session. So for that reason, I'm okay not taking this trade, although it would have been nice if we actually had taken it. It's just I got confused with the DST timings, but that's fine. It's just one of those things. So anyway, there's a potential trade here which we'll have to see how it plays out, that I may have missed. But all in all, that's GBPUSD. We had reasons to trade both directions, but we could only validate the New York high of the day and the Asia high of the day. We don't trade based on London low of the day. So that's pretty much the GBPUSD. Having said that about this trade in particular, what it would also mean is that we'll have to exit the position at the end of the trading session at 6 p.m. So there's a chance that this doesn't really go that far, and it's unlikely that we'll achieve full target. It would probably take maybe a half an hour. So we can monitor this, and I can comment on it maybe tomorrow in the London Outlook. So that's GBPUSD, and then if we move on to EURUSD. So from a EURUSD perspective, again from the daily, we didn't have 3 consecutive close bullish or bearish candles at the beginning of the day, and thus we had no daily bias. From a 4H perspective, like I've said in the previous EODs and the outlook for London, we are in an unconfirmed scenario because market structure recently broke, and until we have that confirmed bearish break of structure right here, we in an unconfirmed scenario. So the same rules apply as per EU. However, there's a couple of legs for EU. There's a pro-trend previously confirmed leg that was validated right here. Then we had the pro-trend unconfirmed reaction, which created the pro-trend unconfirmed primary leg. We then also validated a secondary unconfirmed leg only because there was an unconfirmed lower high at the top that we could target, and we had full demand order flow validation. So that meant that coming into the morning, we only had reasons to long based on this OB right here because of the secondary leg that was developed and the fact that this primary leg reaction took out the substructure, and thus we were looking for longs in and around this area. However, that area failed. We reacted to a primary OB right here, and we could consider longs from this area. However, if we go to the 5 minutes starting off from the Frankfurt session, you can see the Frankfurt session just pushed down, so there wasn't really an opportunity to get long as originally intended. Then we extended this primary leg and invalidated the secondary leg, and thus there's only reasons to long based on the primary pro-trend previously confirmed leg, or we have reasons to short based on the primary pro-trend unconfirmed leg right here. So coming into this OB right here, we had reasons to long. Unfortunately, that is a London low of the day, and then we had positive GDP news supporting further shorts, so this long didn't really make much sense. And then obviously at 4 p.m. we had a New York high of the day being validated, but again that couldn't be traded because if we look at this, so on your 5 minute, if I just draw your attention to this, we wick this high, which means the closest possible chalk OB would be probably this OB right here. So again, for that reason we couldn't short. And then also in terms of shorting, we didn't really validate the substructure low right here, which makes it tough because this candle hasn't yet closed, and so it makes it tough to actually target, and thus there wasn't really a full commitment for shorting. There was more so validation for longs after interaction with this, but then like I said, US GDP news was positive, and it would mean we should short EU rather than long it. So for that reason there wasn't really any trades on EURUSD. And then lastly, moving on to USDCAD, I wasn't really interested in trading this pair at all, and that's simply for the reason that on the daily we have 3 consecutive bearish candles, which meant that we're anticipating a bullish candle. However, this interferes with our 4H narrative, as I said in the London Outlook, because we have a confirmed bearish trend. We've reached the pro-trend extreme, we've validated a pro-trend primary leg, and thus there is only reasons to short, but our daily bias is telling us to anticipate a bullish daily candle. But again, we had a London high of the day which cannot be validated, or which we don't trade based upon. So for that reason, for those reasons, there wasn't really any need to move to the 5 minute. And again, we had mixed USD and CAD news, because CAD is positive, suggesting that we should short USD CAD, but USD is positive, suggesting long, so we don't really have any idea of which is the true direction, and thus there wasn't really any opportunities on USD CAD. So that's pretty much the end of day review. I hope you had a good trading day, and we'll chat again tomorrow for the London Outlook.